Well, good morning and welcome to the 7th edition of Grapes&Greens. And I'm delighted in this late March springtime to be sitting on the 10th tee of the Berkshire, which is just superb. I've actually got the shorts on, which I couldn't believe this morning when I actually put these on, but I tell you what, I'm pleased that I have got them on. And I am with, and we're being hosted by someone I've known for well over 20 years and is one of the most successful people in golf through a travel perspective, and that's Andrew Stanley. Andrew, welcome, and thank you for hosting us today.
Good to see you.
As always, we start with a glass of wine, and why wouldn't you on a day like this? And I thought that we would try a Provence rosé, a bit early in the season, but why not? And this actually comes, it's called Morpho, and it's a mixture of Grenache, Syrah, and Cabernet Sauvignon. So it's a real blend. And it comes from the Provence area, not Côte de Provence, where a lot of the wines from Provence come from, a lot of the rosés, but actually in Aix, Provence, which AIX. And then you've seen those in a lot of bottles, you know, especially in Majestic and places like that.
Yeah.
But this is a really, really well-made wine, and we sell it to a lot of golf clubs. So you can imagine sitting on a terrace on a day like this would go down really well. But you have a wine story as well, something to connection in America, is that right?
So actually my all-time favourite wine, the most delicious wine we've ever had. We were at a PGA Tour partners event a couple of years ago, and they lay on a wonderful evening barbecue on the Intracoastal down in Florida, and we got drinking this red wine, and we all said, this is delicious, it's fantastic. And it had been obviously kind of from the bourbon casks, kind of it had been in there, so you could really taste the whiskey, and it was the smoothest wine I think we've ever tasted.
Yeah.
We then had a quick look on the bottle. I think it was 18%. So we put the brakes on quite sharply, but it was delicious. Yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. And obviously there is a connection. You've got some locations that are sort of surrounded by vineyards as well, I guess, especially in France.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, read between the lines, a lot of the golfers we send down to France it's not just a golf trip. There is wine definitely involved. So Golf de Médoc down in Bordeaux. Yeah. Very popular. Terre Blanche in Provence, a great place to play golf and drink rosé. Yeah. And then Chateau de Vigier down in the Dordogne, surrounded by their own vineyards.
Yeah, amazing.
And it is, fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant. So I've known you really just after you set up GolfBreaks. But how did you get into golf? Because you weren't in golf originally, were you? I mean, you obviously loved your golf, but you weren't in the industry.
Yeah, I wasn't. No, I think how it first started it was, I remember reading a quote once, which was a Confucius quote, which was, find a job you love and you'll never work a day in the rest of your life. And I remember thinking, well, I love golf and I love holidays, I love travel. So I try and find something in that respect. And at the time, you know, I was in my kind of late 20s. I'd already been organising a number of Ryder Cup style matches for a group of friends where we'd go away annually. Great banter, great fun. Great to catch up, great golf, great wine in the evenings. We'd be sitting there kind of, telling all the stories, and that became, and I thought, well, why not try and make a living out of this? So the first part of GolfBreaks was really an events business, which was taking golfers away groups of golfers away on trips, organising a Ryder Cup style weekend. And that really kind of pivoted. I did that for a year. Went on every one of those trips, organising all the polo shirts, the trophies, running around after 24 guys who had probably had too much to drink in the evenings and were asking questions. It was hard work, and at that point I then thought, well, my father had always run his own business. What about, you know, really kind of getting this thing going? And at the time there was no one else really doing golf breaks in the UK. So the typical golf travel companies tended to take people off to Spain, Portugal, France. No one was doing the UK, so I saw a little bit of a gap and thought, right, well, let's launch a website.
Websites were kind of just getting going.
So this was this was '99.
Yeah, okay.
So I phoned a friend, a cousin, Guy, who had just graduated from Cambridge University. He was on the bright side of the family, and he came on board. And a great friend of his was a web developer in those very early stages. So he built the first iteration of GolfBreaks, and we put it up there with a number of UK venues. And very quickly started getting some traction and people inquiring, saying, great, I want to go away for one night or 2 nights, and I could probably do more of those without breaking the family budget than necessarily booking a trip to to Spain, Portugal,
yeah.
Mauritius, wherever
Yeah.
it was further afield, and that's how it kind of really took off.
Amazing. And you were saying earlier that it took off pretty quickly, from having this idea. I mean, a lot of businesses have to sort of bed in a bit, but this really took off very quickly.
It took off really, really quickly.
Yeah.
And it was just, suddenly we realized there was, I think kind of the old style way of, for a golf tour operator would have been to promote themselves was you send out a brochure once a year, you stick an advert in the back of one of the golf magazines, monthly golf magazines, and the bigger the advert, probably the bigger the traction,
Exactly,
but it was never measurable.
Yeah.
So by actually having the website, we very quickly built an email database, which, again, common thought now, but was, at that time was great, where we can communicate with them every week and every 2 weeks, rather than once a year. And that proved, vital to actually kind of working then with venues here in the UK to say, well, look, when do you need some help? When are the days in the week or the months of the year that you really want some extra business? And we will try hard to promote that. And that's, that's where it really took off, and very quickly realised we needed another sales director. So Daniel Grave came on board, a great old friend from university.
Okay.
Steve Hemsworth had already been a silent partner. So the four of us who kind of really kind of co-founders, I suppose, kind of were there, that was 26 years ago. And we're still working together now. Still loving it.
And originally in Chiswick?
Yeah, we were in Chiswick for about the first 4 or 5 years.
Okay.
Then realised
out from the bedroom into Chiswick.
Out from the bedroom into Chiswick, and it was, we outgrew that office. We needed to get a bigger one, and we thought, well, now's a chance. If we're going to get out of London, we don't need to be in London, but we're not going to go too far away. So we ended up moving into Windsor, and we've been there for the last 20 kind of plus years, which has been fantastic.
And at that time, how many people were doing that? I mean, obviously you took the lead. There was 3 or 4 others. Is that?
Yeah, there were a number of others who did, but again, they were mainly concentrating on probably higher package trips and therefore higher margin trips from their perspective. And they were saying, well, look, fine, you carry on doing the UK, sending someone away on a £99 for a one-night break. You've got to do a lot of them from a volume perspective to actually make the numbers work. So we were quite happy to say, let's go down the volume route. Grew the staff quite quickly. Up to, I think when we moved out to Windsor, we had just under 50 members of staff. Wow. That went up to now, in terms of the whole total company, we've got just over 200, of which 40 work over in America. Okay. So yeah, we've kind of grown and moved along as the times have gone on.
And now, how many countries do you go to? I mean, can you literally book golf all over the world?
I think there's 32 countries that we now send golfers to, kind of all around the world. So from Vietnam to Dubai to Morocco is a real kind of popular one at the moment.
And I guess, do you find a lot of these venues when you go to the travel shows, is that where you really find these new connections, or do you have someone always looking to find new venues, or do they come to you?
Yeah, it's a bit of both. In the early days, we were the ones going out saying, can we kind of work with you? Now they approach us and say, how do we get onto the website? How do we kind of get some work with you? So we do have a product team that's their sole role, is actually going out and being the contractors. They do the rate negotiating and working with the venues. So nice job.
Yeah, I'm sure. Did you ever get? I mean, was that you?
That was us. That was me, very first of all, with Dan, Steve, and Guy. We did that for the first few years, getting that market up. Then you realise, okay, we need to put the turbo on. We need to recruit other members of staff. So we've got quite a few who've been with us over 20 years now, who are still kind of built up some great relationships. Yeah.
No, it's fantastic. And you mentioned America, and you got 40 staff in America. What year did you join with the PGA Tour? And how did that all come together?
Yeah, so that was Daniel then moved over. He had married an American, Nancy, who they'd spent about 10 years work here in the UK. She was getting a little bit tired of the UK weather in the winters, and had said, Dan, come on, let's. When are we moving back to the States? So they moved back and opened up the office in Charleston in 2016.
Lovely place to open an office.
Great place to open it. He chose very well there.
It's not bad.
And we had the first few years of, we recognise there's a huge opportunity over there. There's 30 million golfers in North America, so lots to go at. But with that opportunity, probably came the biggest challenge was, how do you kind of get to that reach of golfers, because there's so many of them, and how do you kind of get that credibility that we're GolfBreaks? And Dan said, if I had a loud halo and I could just go out and say to everyone, we're here GolfBreaks, come and book with us, and have the credibility factor. And as if by magic, the PGA Tour, we had an approach from them at the end of in 2019.
Okay.
They just opened an office up in London.
Okay.
And said, look, we have a business over in the States that we're involved with, the PGA Superstore. So on the equipment side, they had a reach out to their kind of customer base, fan base. And they said, we recognise travel's a really growing brand. We'd love to partner with you. We've done our due diligence. We've looked around and you're the company we want to work with. So it was very humbling to have that meeting. Yeah. And they came in and we thought, okay. So they basically, in a nutshell, gave us access to a lot of their marketing assets, primarily the TV slots on the Golf Channel, which was just fantastic.
Fortunes, that.
And we also had the use of the brand license, the global brand license. So over there, it's known as PGA GolfBreaks by PGA Tour, which gave it that little bit of credibility as opposed to GolfBreaks from Windsor. So that was great. So that we did that end of 2019, right. And that's been a fantastic kind of.
And the 40 people there, are they Americans, or can staff go and transition over there? Or?
Yeah, we've had a few kind of UK members of staff who've gone over there. We have quite a few go over there every year, kind of quarterly or so, to just help. But primarily it is Americans now. We've found it's trying to get green cards and everything else over there. So.
And do you get people to go over there as well? And has that helped with maybe? The tour courses, can you access them as well?
Yeah, we do. So we get, we've just come back from the Players last week. We had a lot of customers going over there to experience that. They go to Sawgrass, they go off and play some other golf while they're in the States. Go to the Masters, go to some of the PGA Tour kind of events,
courses. Do you do the waste management?
We do, yes.
Well, Phoenix, which is massive, isn't
we send our rowdy clientele over to go and whoop and holler.
Have you been?
That one. I haven't been yet. I am going to go at
so
one
Nick
stage.
Hayes has definitely been there.
Nick Hayes has definitely been there, yeah.
No, very good, very good. So obviously that's a massive business. How often do you meet? And they own part of GolfBreaks, is that
yeah,
right?
So they become a minority stakeholder in the business, which is great. So we have, we've had some fantastic introductions, great support from them, and that works really well. And for us to conquer America, as I said, there are 30-odd million golfers. We don't need to do anywhere near all of them, but if we can get a tiny slice of that. And that is about, and Americans do travel. A lot of them travel internally within America, but they go off, or they want to play all the top courses over there, tick off the bucket list ones, and also look for some of the hidden gems. Very similar to kind of, our model over here.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. And I think that must have been, again, if you see from the front room to Chiswick to Windsor, and then having the PGA Tour, they're major foundations within your business, aren't they? In a period of time which, we're talking 20 years, really. Yeah. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been fantastic growth. There's definitely kind of, you just kind of go with it at times and kind of make sure that we've got enough staff, that the staff are really looking after our customers all the way through. And I think, that's interesting. We did the deal with the PGA Tour end of 2019, and literally 3 months later, and again, it's weird. This week, I get goosebumps. This week, 5 years ago, I'd just come back from the Players. That got the first round got cancelled after the first round. Boris was about to tell everyone, right, you've got to go and work from home. And we then had a really kind of challenging kind of a period where, that was. We had 84,000 golfers about to travel in that next 3 month period.
Jesus.
And of course, everyone was at home. So, and all our staff, we had to get everyone kind of out of the office, working from home. And it went from probably our darkest hour, where I remember going into the office and it just looked like the whole place had been burgled. It almost broke my heart. You looked around.
You're just grabbing stuff, gotta go.
Everything was gone, leads just left all over the place. People had literally got their chairs, their desks, their computers and things like that. But we did mobilise everyone, and probably one of the proudest things, we got everyone working from home. So we managed to get through.
How long did that take, do you think, from shutdown to
It was literally a couple of days. I think Boris, from memory, it was like, right, this happens now. That's so amazing. We just literally said, you've got to take everything back, get people set up at home. We then started calling all the customers and said, look, we just want you to ideally to postpone your break rather than cancel it, because are you going to want to go away on the break at some stage in the future? The answer was always yes.
Yeah.
So 90% of it we were able to postpone, which was meant doing all the work again.
Yeah.
Which was tough, but our staff did an amazing job, you
Yeah.
know, and it was, you know, that really kind of saved us from that, because we lost 5 million. The balance sheet took a big hit during that year.
That was couldn't furlough them because they're working.
We couldn't. No,
Yeah.
Everyone, as much as, oh great, stick everyone on phone. Well, hang on, the phones are going off the hook.
So you have to pay them as
so
well,
we had to,
and
we had to
no
pay
real money coming in.
Exactly, no money coming in. But you know, we got through that, and you know, that was, whilst as tough as that was, we then, you know, as we all know, you know, we've come out of COVID. Golf has been in vogue, travel's been in vogue, and you know, we've had our 3 record years kind of since then. So the growth side of it has been fantastic. But
when did you see that confidence coming back? Was it gradual, or did you see that there was an actual leap where, because I can remember people going, I just want to go, I don't really care, and I'm just going to go for it, and I have to wear the mask and whatever, fine. But a lot of people were still hesitant about, okay, I don't mind going around, but I don't know if I want to go overseas. And then it had, you know, all the, you know, the paperwork and everything else that you had to do, and the stamping, you know, you had to show all your documentation and everything else, and people were like, don't want to do that.
Yeah,
really.
I think it was like a spring coil. It kind of pulled it back, and it was, you know, so our UK market just went ballistic. So GolfBreaks in the UK, everyone said, that's where I'm going to go. So that just went through the roof. And then as soon as people could then fly, and it was, you know, we got through the rest of it, and then people did say, actually, I do want to go back and get some sun. I want to go back to Spain, Portugal, wherever it was. And those venues have then seen a huge resurgence back, because people have said, well, look, I want to go on a holiday.
Yeah.
I want to play golf and enjoy it. So.
Yeah. And America was a bit later, wasn't it? Because obviously they did have their restrictions. You were saying to me before, you've just been to the Players, and you were saying that the improvements that they've made at Sawgrass for spectators to go has been immense in like since pandemic, because I think they feel that people they realise what it was like to shut it down, and now obviously the 5th major probably still, and it's becoming, I think everybody wants to go. Certainly look at this year, you know, with Rory winning in a playoff, and how 17 was so instrumental into the result. And people, it's just iconic. Do you feel that that was the last sort of we're back, sending more and more people to America?
Yeah, I think so, and I think, you know, those kind of venue, you know, credit to them, you know, they wanted to improve every single year what they're offering customers. You know, we send a lot of golfers who go and play TPC Sawgrass. And have their own magic moments on the 17th, and play that. And you know, having walked around it last week, you just see the little improvements, and the pine straw everywhere, how immaculate it's looking, what they've done with the bunkers, the grass. You know, it is. You know, I'm sure they hold the Masters up here as the kind of utopia.
That's where they need to get to.
So they, you know, and you can just see that. And I think a lot of venues have said, right, the demand is there, so we need to kind of up our game and make sure we provide, you know, a fantastic kind of playing experience for golfers.
I definitely saw, I was doing a top 100 blog in 21-22, and the money that the clubs got from entrance fees was definitely going back into the golf courses. And you saw, certainly in the top 100 courses, to be in that, they had to invest in the infrastructure. Certainly on the golf courses, nearly all of them improved. I mean, we're sitting in the Berkshire, and you know, Moggy and the guys have done a fantastic job on the golf course, and it continues. I don't think you can stand still now, can you?
No.
In any walk of life.
In any walk of life, I think you've got to be looking forwards. This rosé is fantastic, by the way.
This rosé is great. I'll stop talking. So that's the first part. We've had a great game up until 9. You're 1 up, and I said we played off. He's played off 6, and I'm off 9. I've said we'll play off scratch, and it's a good game. I mean, you know, you're giving me a hard time. You're really giving me a hard time.
It's close. I came out of the blocks, but
you did.
But you've got your new. You've
got
your
new PXGs. It's going. I mean, this driver is just superb. That putter, I can't miss. Can I?
I know you can't. Yeah.
Pretty good.
Frustratingly.
Pretty good. So, yeah, we're going to play the 10th, and we're going to stop again in about 4 or 5 holes. But enjoy the Morpho. This is from Wine and Earth. It's one of our biggest sellers, I say. It's £14.50 on the website. So go and buy it.
It is fantastic. I will.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So it's just got a little bit warmer, and we have just played the 15th, and I am still only 1 down, which is pretty good. We've talked about kind of successes and the foundations and coming through the pandemic and things are looking good, was there only a time when, this could all go very wrong and I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing here?
Yeah, it probably takes me back to the first year of doing it. The very first event I ran, which was a Ryder Cup style match, October 1998, and I'd just got a contract with Le Touquet to go and kind of to organise events and get the rates and things over there. So the first event over there, and it was a Ryder Cup match which involved a club down in Somerset, which my father was a member of, and he had a number of his friends who came along. So there was the pro and 11 members, and they took on another club who were based up just north of Bristol. And we got over there. I got over there beforehand and had organised all the trophy, all the polo shirts and the playing format and everything. And my father's club, they all arrived in 4 cars, kind of got out of their car, met them all, kind of there parked up, waited for about 3 hours, and eventually the other team arrived on their minibus. As they got out of the minibus, all had a few drinks on the way between kind of Bristol and Le Touquet. Got out and all kind of introduced myself to all of them, and there was this one character who came out, who was charming, stuck his hand out and said, "Hi, nice to meet you. If you forget my name," rolled down his lip, and he had it tattooed on the underside of his lip. And I thought, "Ooh, this could be an interesting character. I'll keep an eye on him." And anyway, the long story short, their second night, the final night, unfortunately, he probably had too much to drink and ended up having a bit of fisticuffs with one of his own team in the hotel. And I got back on the Sunday night. On the Monday morning, got a fax from Le Touquet in no uncertain words saying, your contract is null and void. We don't want any more of that type of business. Thank you very much. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I got on the phone to them and they said, well, you need to come over here and plead your case. So I got straight on the Eurotunnel back over on the Monday, sat down at the end of a long table and was made to grovel to say, look, please, that was a one-off. It won't happen again. Can we please go forward? Fortunately, they gave me another chance and we organised a whole load more matches kind of out in Le Touquet, which was great. And that's where I then went from strength to strength. But during those couple of hours, I did think, oh my God, is this worth it? Do I just throw the towel in now? And I'm very glad, 26 years later, that didn't. Hugely proud of where the business has grown to, what we've achieved along the way. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's come a hell of a long way and is very successful. I mean, you are one of the leaders in golf travel. The
leader, did you say, Neil?
Correct. I think in world travel, and it is world travel, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And I think, how have you managed to really grow that business? And what have you learned from, business terms really? Every business has got its ups and downs. We were just talking earlier about the different generations in your business. You've got baby boomers and you've got Gen Zs. I mean, how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? And how does it all work? I mean, I guess it's good people around you, but at the end of the day, you're the leader. So from what we're trying to do with this series is to give an insight into the golf industry and how leaders in that industry are proving to be successful.
Yeah, sure. I think I've always been a big believer in doing the basics really, really well. And if you do the basics really well, you're going to build the foundations for a strong business to grow on. For us, it's always been around, first of all, it's around the staff. Without staff, you're not going to go anywhere. So we've always tried to recruit great people who are going to come in who want to make a difference. I think there are a lot of people who are quite happy to chug along and things like that. We've always said, if you're coming to GolfBreaks, we want you can make a difference. We're a company this size where you can. And then looking after staff, and lots of times, whether it's through the pandemic, through other times down there, we will always, if you look after your staff, the next thing is then you're looking after your customers. And that's always been absolutely paramount. There are, again, just a mantra we need to make sure the customer has a fantastic experience and wants to come back with us. I think there's a huge drive towards acquisition and how do we get new customers coming forward. And I've always kind of said, look, just also remember retention is just as important. And we've got a lot of people who've had great experiences. How do we make sure we're retaining them as customers kind of going forwards?
And this is where app and loyalty programs. I mean, even looking at wine, going through the different apps and that type of thing, just to kind of saying thank you, but these are the benefits as well. We want. Why would you go anywhere else, basically?
Yeah. And it's about making that, using technology to make that booking experience. A group organizer, whether you're organizing a group of 4 or 40 or 400, there's work involved in doing it. And we've always said if we can kind of do as much of that for them to help them make that job simpler, then that's another reason for them to come. Exactly, to kind of come back.
Because people know how difficult. I mean, there's lots of people I know who try and do it themselves, and then they just go like, you know what, it's far easier. Pay the money, and it's far easier, so I can enjoy it. Because at the end of the day, it's your holiday, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what you should look forward to.
Yeah,
definitely. And where are you seeing now from a pandemic perspective? We talked earlier about more ladies coming in after the pandemic. I think it's something that maybe, again, from a mental health perspective, and that we could all play. The sort of ladies were getting, come to the golf course. Let's get out. Let's play. Let's meet people. Are you seeing a growth in the ladies' market?
I think the ladies' market is as strong as it's ever been. There's we have some fantastic initiatives with women in golf. There are award ceremonies that are springing up, that are recognising people, women who've made some great contributions, and it's across the board. And whether it's getting them involved at a pitch event where they don't have to go into a course or out onto a course, they can come and have a play, see it virtually up there. Whether it's on driving ranges. And it's that's the same. It's exactly the same as what we're trying to do. For the junior market, kids. How do you get them more involved? How do you get them to just have that light bulb moment where they say, "Wow, that was I love that. Great. I want to go back and I want to compete more and more." So it's about making it more and more accessible for them.
The biggest thing is, I think, it's girls. I mean, when I was at St Andrews, we set up the St Andrews Links Junior Golf Association, and it was a great association. From a Links Trust perspective, obviously we're a charitable trust. We had to give back, and one of the things we did was that every child who either went to school or lived in St Andrews from the ages of 5 to 18 got free membership of the association, and that gave them 6 lessons. And what was quite interesting, from 5 to 11 it was 50-50. From 12 to 18 it was like 90-10. It's incredible that the peers just took them over and went like, no, we're going this direction, because before that mum and dad are saying, no, you're going in this direction. And I think if we can get the younger generation, as you say, going to pitch, enjoying it, and getting them to, when they go to work, coming out of university, and one of the things I think is, if you can get ladies to play golf, they're always encouraged to play in the business golf day, and for them, they get to meet the top people. You've got 4 hours, 4.5 hours, 5 hours, or sometimes a golf day, 6 or 7 hours. If you're sitting next to them at dinner afterwards, you'd never get that in an office environment, would you? You'd never get that.
Absolutely. So, and I think, pointing quick, I've got 3 kids, 2 boys, 18 and 17, who've loved golf. The junior members here at the Berkshire, they love it. We'll get out whenever they can. Football was always their main sport, probably still is, but golf is on a very similar rails, and so it's balancing that between the two of them. My younger daughter, who's 13, Amber's, had lessons for the last 4 years at Sunnydale Heath. Fantastic kind of kids facility up there. You know that very well, what those guys have done. And she's learnt the basics. She's got a great little swing, but she's literally just said, look, Dad, for the moment, I just want to kind of stop the Sunday lessons, and I want to just focus on my netball and dance. And you've got a choice to make as a parent. No, you carry on playing golf, which might come back and bite you, and it says, look, hang on, you made me maybe do that. Or it's to say, look, you've got the basics, go and play your netball, do your dance, things like that down there, and I'll encourage you to come back up to the driving range every now and again, and we'll go and hit some balls just to keep it going. Absolutely. But that as a life skill, then kind of going forward is huge. So
I think it's massive. The other thing is you take on board influencers. And social media has become big now. That's probably certainly, again, after the pandemic, people of the younger generation are looking to play golf. It's become cool, more fashion is coming into it. How do you use influencers, and where will that go in the future, do you think?
One of our employees, great guy, David Ford, has been knocking on my door for a while, saying, look, we can shout as much as we want to say, come and book through GolfBreaks and doing it. The other way, and the changing way, which we need to adapt to the way the world's going, is to use influencers, and it makes total sense to have someone there who has a huge following, maybe a different following to what we would typically have. to help us achieve that. So Peter Finch, who we've kind of signed up and working with, he's done a fantastic kind of series out in South Africa. And literally that week, there was a lady called Jane who emailed in and just said, I want to book that exact same trip that Peter Finch has just done. So, Straw Polar won, but there were lots of others. Yeah. We've done the same thing with Bob Does Sport. Those guys, we did a series shoot in the Dominican Republic, Casa de Campo, recently, a few weeks ago. And again, the feedback that just came through on the Instagram reels and everything else was saying, I'd never heard of GolfBreaks, but I have now, and great, I'm going to use you. So it is about reaching a new audience, and it's just about doing things, differently. My sons are never going to go and buy a golf magazine and look at any of the adverts that would have been or still are in the back of there. So it is a changing demographic, and we've always said we need to be aware of that and try as we can to be that one step ahead.
And talking about one step ahead, where is it going in the future? Where's the next 25 years? What do you think will be, if we're sitting here in 5 years' time, what's the next venues or the next IT that will, AI? I mean, for example, how AI is going to affect travel? I have no clue. But
it is huge. Our ambition, as a Cessna flies over. No, where are we going in the future? Our ambition is still huge, and we're as hungry as ever to grow the business and to keep driving it forward. We've got the right people there. There are still hundreds of thousands of golfers out there who haven't used us or will come back and use us. I think AI is going to play a huge part. We're already adapting some of that into some of the processes we have internally, which just make that whole booking experience that much easier for the customer and quicker for our guys who are actually booking up those breaks. I think that's going to be hugely important. We're booking up nearly 250,000 golfers a year go away on trips. So do we want to double that, get to 500,000? Yes. Do we want to kind of keep growing that? Do we see America as a huge kind of opportunity to go and do that? Yes, we do. And we've just got to kind of really just make sure that we are trying as hard as we can. We're embracing technology. And we're keeping people, dialed in and focused as to what customers want, and that's going further afield as they get older, have a slightly higher disposable income, more time, and that's where suddenly, the trip to the Masters, the holy grail of golf breaks, and then tagging on a week in Kiowa or something like that becomes
and again, even further afield, Australia, New Zealand, because if they've got the time and they've got the money, it's like, okay, let's really take 6 months and chill out and go to some of these great places.
Well, I saw one of your early ones with Mike Harris.
Exactly.
I need to kind of book him up on a break down to Australia and New Zealand. He's the first customer, I think. Yeah, we'll do down there. So the world has become a smaller place. And, already we've got people going to Vietnam, playing over there, and it's like, where else? We're fortunate. Most places around the world you can have great golf courses.
Yeah, and that is the beauty, and it's one of the things that I loved about golf, and I've been really lucky that I've probably played in certainly 4 continents. Certainly 3 continents anyway, in about 50 or 60 countries, which is great. I would have never done that without golf. I never visited those places, and that's where you see other sports struggling. I mean, I think I look at rugby, and yes, it's played, but there's only a few people that really play rugby, whereas golf, everyone plays. 64 million people play golf. You get 1% of that, pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take that.
Exactly.
Sign us up.
So, we've asked this to a number of our guests, if you could win the golf lottery, so you've got all the money, but you have to spend it on golf. What would it be?
Oh, my list.
Okay.
Going to come out. Now, firstly, I would get find space to put in a golf simulator at home.
Okay.
We've got one in GolfBreaks in the office, which gets used every day. People love it. They go in there, they hit shots, and so I'd get one at home so I can kind of go do play on that. That would be my toy. I think I'd then have to buy a big chunk of land down in the Algarve, build my own golf course, so I can go and play that in the sunshine every day. But probably more importantly, it would be, when I was, how I got it, I would be trying to give back, I think, to the game. And I'd love to help encourage more kids, more juniors to have that access into golf, to get that magic little moment where they hit that 7-iron, 8-iron or whatever, and it's like, wow, that came out of the middle, that felt great. And it takes me back to age 10. I was at school in Burnham-on-Sea. Burnham and Barrow Golf Club we had lessons there kind of once a week. and you'd go along, line up, all of us with our 7-iron or an 8-iron, try and hit it as hard as you could, and that you hit one flush, and it was like, right, I've got to kind of carry on doing this. And I would love to, help the Golf Foundation do an amazing job, and it would be, how do we actually kind of, to get a 7-iron, to get an 8-iron in their, in their hands, whether it's on a driving range, whether it's in a simulator, that's the way forward for golf, to get people in at that young age.
And that is a lottery. I mean, that's perfect giving back, and you've already given back in a way because you were captain of GIGS, the Golf Industry Golf Society. We, again, Mike Harris and I talked about that because we held the first one at Loch Lomond, and I think that's a great industry society. More and more people are coming into that. I mean, I haven't probably been part of that for 4 or 5 years now, but are you seeing, the younger people in the industry coming into that, which probably started from playing golf in the Golf Foundation?
Yeah, I think the number in that society is just under 100. They're all involved in the golf industry, and you've definitely got some newer, younger members who can come through with different ideas and want to kind of, suggest things. So it is great, yeah. I think when you get that collective mindset coming forward to say, how do we all, we all have a responsibility to grow the game. It's in all of our interest in the short, medium and long term to do that. So.
Absolutely, and for the industry to attract the right people. I mean, we were talking earlier about Kelly Tidy.
Yeah.
And she was saying about Nicole Wheatley, we're talking about her, bringing her into your business, and for her to give a real insight into all the ladies who work for you in the business. And Kelly said to me, I wish I'd had that conversation just before I started becoming a pro, because that would have relaxed me so much, knowing that there were other things that I can do in golf, and I think that's so important. And I think if we can attract the right people to the golf industry through the Club Managers Association of Europe, and that type of education, and giving them a career, because when I came into it, nearly 40 years ago, there was no education. I was the youngest by 30 years, standing in the bar, drinking a gin and tonic, and go and play golf, and go, we've done today, yeah, fine, And it's like, but I wanted to learn. And that's where Club Managers Association of America was really good, and all the information they had about running a country club was just gold dust. It was fantastic. And one of the things we're trying to do with Grapes and Greens is get leaders on who are in club management to. How do you run a top club, and what's the background? Where have you come from? What are the skill sets that you need to run a Wentworth, a Wisley, a Berkshire?
Yeah.
These are top clubs, and they're big businesses now.
They are businesses. At the end of the day, exactly. They have customers.
Yeah. GolfBreaks being one, and you as a member.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really interesting. And then, so you've got one more game to play the rest of your life. Where's it going to be? Who's it going to be with? And why are you playing there and with these people?
Okay. Well, I had a sneak thinking you were going to ask me that one, and it's mine would be my last round, or with the ultimate round, would be at Augusta National. So that would be the pinnacle of playing golf. Who am I playing with? Unconventionally, I'm going with a 6-ball.
Okay.
Because we're there for the day, and we're playing a 6-ball, okay?
No one's going to, only got one round left anyway.
No, exactly. And those three of those guys are my co-partners, so Daniel, Steve and Guy.
Brilliant.
Who we've been working together for over 25 years. We have some great games together when we do kind of meet up. And that would be, again, we're hugely proud of what we've done, and that would be the kind of pinnacle to go and play that. And I'd also add on my two sons, Harry and Jay, 17 and 18, who that they would play with us, that they would be out hitting us, they'd be giving us the markers where to aim for now. And, I couldn't possibly let that go around without, making sure inviting my wife and my daughter, who love driving around on a drinks trolley, and they're going to be serving champagne the whole way round.
Perfect. Fraser on Fraser champagne.
Exactly. So there we go. So that would be the ultimate kind of final round of golf.
Fantastic. So we've got 3 holes to play. We've got 16, 17, 18. You're one up.
I'm one up.
Okay, so let's go, and then we'll have the last couple of questions on 18. How's that?
Fantastic. Let's do it.
So Andrew, enjoyed your company. Great understanding a little bit more about GolfBreaks, where you've come from, where you are, and where you're going. I think that's really, really exciting. Thank you for hosting at this amazing golf club. Always love coming to the Berkshire. The red was in good condition. We got lucky with the weather.
We got very lucky.
The only thing that spoilt the day is that you won 3-1. But we can't have our guests losing at any time. So
That's very, very kind of you.
we'll have to come back and have another game, maybe on the blue.
We will. And I'll say, never has a glass of rosé at 10:30 in the morning tasted so good. Thank you very much.
Make sure that you look at our YouTube channel to get all of the content from this particular episode. And of course, it's available on Spotify. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks very much.